Yeah, the act of crafting winning tech narratives. And one may wonder, why do you want to give a good narrative? Why do you want to craft good narratives or good tech narratives? What's the intention? So the intention is such that at the end of the day, your audience, people listening to you, maybe those in your offices, your managers, your business owners, whosoever you are making a presentation for, at the end of the day, they understand you, and not just understanding you, but they're able to take any recommendation you give to them. Because at the end of the day, you should have an insight. You should get an insight from your data and then be able to provide recommendation, because you don't just analyze the data or look at data just for looking sake. So I hope I'm being heard. I hope I'm being heard. I really hope I'm being heard.
Yes, we can hear you
Okay.
clearly.
So we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. So now, the first speaker was talking about data. He made lots of discussion on Microsoft Azure, and the backbone or the foundation of it is that the fact that there is data. And some may want to ask, what is data? I don't think there's anybody here that does not know what is data, but just at a layman's speech, we can say data are information. No, not information. Rather, I can say they are records. They are pieces of facts that when you look at them, you can make something meaningful out of them. So that is when you now begin to give it name, like, okay, from this data, I can get an information. From this data, I can see this, I can see that. And with where the world is going to, there is big data. Data increasing in velocity, the speed. There was a time we started with 2G, from 2G, 3G, 3G, 4G, 4G, now 5G. Only God knows the next G we will get to. That's because the speed is increasing more and more and more and more. Then talk about volume. The volume, the size of data that is being generated every day. Whenever you download an app, you're going to put in your email address or your phone number, depending on what the app is for. That information, that email address you've dropped is a data. Whenever you go on social media, you make a tweet, you make a LinkedIn post, you make a Facebook post, whatever you do is data. So you are adding to the volume of data. And then data is also in various variations. So you hear people talk about big data, they will say the volume, there are V's, they just call them V's, volume, velocity, variation, I've forgotten the last one. Now, all these things are to tell you that data is going to keep on coming day by day. A lot of people want to come online. Businesses want to be online. Schools, churches, everything want to be online. And for them to be online, there has to be a transfer of data from one place to another. So at the end of this today's presentation, I would believe that you understand how to transform raw data into meaningful and impactful narrative. It won't just be like you just have the data and then you don't transform it to something people can relate with and understand, and then also able to take recommendation. Now, I got this from seedscientific.com website. They said that by 2025, that there will be 175 zettabytes of data in the global data space. I don't even know how I'm going to quantify that zettabyte, but for every 24 hours, there is 500 million tweets, just only Twitter, 500 million tweets on Twitter published. This is data. If companies have business accounts on Twitter, they are able to monitor what happens. They're able to monitor their customer behavior because of the tweets that people make. If you go to you're just on Twitter, well, it's no longer Twitter, but we are used to Twitter. Is Zstar. If you're on Twitter, you go to Twitter, you just make a post, and that post is beginning to generate maybe some views or some comments. Before you know, some random people, they go under that tweet and they begin to tag maybe banks or tag some companies, some products, some brands. Let's use the word brands. Some brands, they begin to tag those brands to like lay complaints and all that. And there's nobody that thank God for what Miracle taught us. There's nobody that would want a bad narrative, a bad story about their brand. So what they do is, at any time they get to see the tweet that is on Twitter that someone has made tagging them, they go in to check, okay, what kind of what is the sentiment of this? Is it a good sentiment? Is it something that will boost the performance, or that will boost our business, our brand, or is it something that will damage it? And then they begin to run out very fast. I remember there was someone that had a problem with Jumia. The person was trying to buy something, okay, actually bought the thing, paid for the thing, and was tracking it on Jumia. And then at the time they told him that it's so and so place. At the time they stopped responding. It got up to 1 week, and the person was like, I've been calling, they are not picking, this, that. I just told the person, have you gone to Twitter? The person was like, what will I do on Twitter? I just said, okay, just go to Twitter, make a post, tag Jumia Nigeria, tag anything Jumia you just see, tag them. If possible, put in, just explain what the situation is, and if possible, put in your, I think, tagging ID or something like that. Put in there, and then let's see what will happen. In fact, when you finish doing that, copy the link, the Twitter link, send to me. Let me send to some other people. Let's go to Twitter and make engagement on that post, and then let's hear what will happen. Immediately, this young man did it in less than 30 minutes. They resolved, as in they were the ones. He was tired of picking calls. They were the ones calling him left, right, and center, because there is data on social media. Just as Miracle said, people can come to social media and know everything about you, because the posts you make, the videos you share, everything, they're all information and they're all data, just that they're data in different forms. Some are in rows and columns, in tables, while some are media data, some are the ones you type text, that at the end of the day you can give structure to them. Gold and data. Now, you can say that data is raw material. Let's say you want to cite a business, and that business is, okay, you want to be a chef or a renowned restaurant owner, and then you're particular about seafood. For instance, you're particular about seafood. I think that with data being your raw material for this business, I think you may want to find out which part of maybe the country that will grant me access to seafood, number one. Number two, you may also want to know, okay, which people eat or love to eat seafood. You get, so when you get information or data about the location that, or the place that is easily accessible to seafood, and then the people, the choice of people, that will determine where you're going to cite your business. So let's look at Nigeria as a case study. I'm not sure that if you want to have that kind of business, you cite that business at Sokoto, or you cite that business at Zamfara, because the people living there, they don't know seafood, and in fact you won't even get access to seafood. So what a business owner should do is to pick out this information, the location, the place where he or she can have access to those seafood. So that is where you can say, okay, data is a raw material that can help you to build up one or two things. Now, when you now have this data, you're going to explore. The word exploration, you can get, that is what engineers do. Like if you have gold, just as the picture that is being shown to us, there you're going to see raw gold. In fact, even crude oil, like people say data is the new oil. Crude oil in Nigeria, if you see the place that the crude comes from, just as the word crude, it is very raw, it is very dirty, it is messy, it is greasy, it is not something that is quite palatable to look at. But because we know that there is something valuable in it, we go all out to now begin to refine it, to now pass it through some processes. We can bring the oil down and then pass it through maybe flow stations, and then they pass it through separators to separate oil from water, from gas, and at the end of the day you begin to refine all those products you get. So that is like you are exploring. So the same thing is applicable to like gold. Gold, when you get it in the raw form, you pass it through different processes so that it comes out shining. You try it through fire, through different processes, that it comes out very valuable. That when someone looks at it, they say, this is pure gold, and then the amount of that pure gold, you know that is going to be very, very expensive. So see data. If you're a data analyst, a data scientist, a machine learning engineer, as long as you have to deal with data, with information, see it as you are an explorer. You are exploring. That's why I always call myself an explorer. I always say I'm EDA. I use explorer, detective, and a little bit of artistic. Yeah. Explorer is because you're going to dig deep into data to find out the things that are in it and how to make it better to get something out of it. That is also like a detective. You're asking questions. Okay, why is it that in January our sales were low? Okay, why is it that in July our sales were the highest? Okay, what goods were bought more in July? Okay, why is it that patients with that their sugar level falls between this and this? That the people that are prone to hypertension. Why is it that, okay, when they get a particular age, there is so problem? So you get you get from data. So there are many clean data. How do you clean data? Let me just give a simple instance. Let's say you sent out a form to people to fill, like their name. Okay, the name may not really have a problem. You fill out data for people to fill, like their name, their date of birth, and then okay, let's just go with name, date of birth, and sex. Let me just use this for instance. Now, in the name, even if you specify on that form, put all in capital letter, it is very few persons, or let me not say very few persons, not everyone will write their names in capital letter. Some other persons may write it in mixed. Maybe first letter will be uppercase, while some may even write all on lowercase. Then if you put in a date field that require people to fill in dates, and you don't put a calendar in it so that people can just pick, just use the picker option and pick out the exact date, you're going to see different pattern of dates. Some may put, they'll just write, let's say 26th August 2026. Why some may just write 26/08/2023. Why some 28 hyphen. So you're going to get different patterns of date because you are not specific, and then maybe you didn't have at the back of your mind that you would need to have if possible, a clean data to reduce your transformation on those data. The same thing with, let's say you're talking about sex. Now, sex is quite easy, or gender rather, it's quite easy because you just have maybe just two, or well, for us in Nigeria, or in Africa per se, you just have just two, male and female. So if you leave it open-ended, people can just type male, they can type female, and it may be in capital, it may be in small letter. But if at the back of your mind, you want to reduce your data transformation processes and then have really time to dig in information from that, what you're going to do is on that form, that's a gender field, you're going to make it to be instead of open-ended, you're going to make it option, as in to have options, choice, so that people can just click female, click male, and that's it. So it's going to be easier to clean. Now, if you have these forms, maybe okay, you have location, for instance, location USA. Someone is in USA, because that your location, you did not put a picker where someone, you did not pick a picker where someone can pick USA, Aba, Abuja, stuff like that, and you leave it open-ended. Anybody can go there and write United States of America. Another person will write Port Harcourt. Another person will write PH. At the end of the day, you have given yourself so much work to do. But if at the back of your mind you understand and know that you really need to have a clean data, you should reduce the efforts you put on transforming all those data. Now you're going to be conscious of how you send out the data to people, so that maybe that location, you're going to put a picker where people can pick the date, and then it becomes easier for you. So that is to show you that there are different kinds of transformation we put on data sets depending on the tool the data is in. Remember that I'm not focusing about tools for now, or for this conference, or for my presentation, but Dahel is a business that can help you much later if you want to go into data analytics, data science, is business intelligence is their specialty. They will take time to deal with all those tools. Now, each tool has different ways and different patterns of transforming this data, so that at the end of the day you have a data that is accurate, you have a data that is that is not biased. You don't have like male, M-A-L-E, you have blank, or there are places that are blank, and then at the end of the day, instead of having there are many things you may want to do and you encounter various difficulties. So it's important to clean your data. It's important to have it in the right format, in the right pattern, in the right sense of it, consistent, so that at the end of the day you have a beautiful story to tell. Now let me give an instance. Let's look at this thing like you want to cook a meal. Let me use vegetable soup, Nigerian vegetable soup, for instance. Now when you come back from the market, or even if you have every food stuff in your house and you put your meat on fire, and I'm sure that you won't just take that vegetable and put inside the pot like that. You have to pick out some things that are not okay, especially maybe like water leaves. You need to pick out some things, and then you need to put it on and wash it and be sure that there is no water and there is no sand and it is clean. You wash once, twice, depending on your preference, and then you begin to cut. So your process of all those slicing the vegetable, slicing the onion, you are sure that the meat, maybe the fish, you remove the bone, and you're doing all those processes, and you put the food on fire. You finish cooking the food. You would want that at the end of the day, when someone takes a bite of that food, the person will not bite sand. When someone takes a bite of it, the person will not eat something appalling. So it's just like this data analysis or data science is like you are cooking a meal and you want that meal to be presentable, that even after cooking the food, you put it in a plate or in a tray, that someone looks at it and the person is already, even if the person was not hungry, but it's already appetizing. So that is what it is. It's all about putting this data into something that is very, very good, something that is very neat, and then you talk about it in a way that even if it's a layman, the person will be able to understand everything you have said and then be able to digest all the information. Now let's go to the act of creating these narratives. Now I talked about data being accurate, being reliable, being relevant to your narrative. I'm not sure that you'll be talking about sales of a particular product, sales of a company, and the company specializes in shoes. And when you want to talk about story, you're not going to start talking about bread. No, they are not in the same. They're not narrate. They don't even click at all. So you should have a clear structure where you want to start and how you want to tell the story. And remember that sometimes you are the technical person, but the people you'll be talking to or talking with or making your presentations to are not technical at all. So you need to speak in a way that they will understand you. Okay. Then you talk about character. Like I said, character is data has character. Let me use the word. Okay, just like movies, there are characters. They will tell you, when we were growing up, we used to say, this is an actor need to die. But at the end of the day, we know that all of them are all actors as long as they acted the movie. So the character is your data. You should be able to even tell, where did you get this data from? Let's say you are building, you are building. But if is a data from your company that your company has given to you, you will not be like, okay, this is the data that I got from HR department, or this is the data that is from so and so department. It should be a bit specific. And then the data should tell us the problem, or you should tell us, okay, why is it that in the first place we are analyzing this data, or what do you want to bring out of it? You get. Then you should be able to tell, okay, I think I have come up with a solution that can help. Maybe the problem was sales are dropping in Aba, and you went to get the data from Aba to really find out why sales are dropping. You get. So the solution or the things you found that were the reasons for the drop in sales, you should be able to bring them out, and then you should be able to show all these things graphically. And there are different kinds of infographics or different kinds of charts you can use depending on what you're presenting, whether it's a report or a dashboard, whichever. But you should be able to show this in a pie chart, as the case may be, in bar chart. There are different kinds of bar chart, in line graphs, in tables. There are just so many. By the time you get deeply into data analytics or data science, and I'm sure that those people that are really into the data field, because I think I listened to someone that was asking a question on that she has been hiding. She's doing data this, data that. So I know that most of them know the right tools, or the right charts rather, to use at a particular time. So visuals like charts, graphs, infographic, they make your data relatable. Someone will just look at the data and say, this one has the longest bar. So because that one has the longest bar rather, it is the one that has more, maybe more sales, depending on what you are trying to get. Then sometimes you put in, there is what is known as conflict or tension. You bring it in. Conflict may like bring to you like the kind of challenges you encountered, while even tension, the kind of, while I was trying to work on this data, I really found out this problem, or I feel I had some limitation. I was not able to get information from so and so department about this. Or if the data source you got it from a public space, you can categorically just state that, okay, this data, okay, let us just calm down. It is true that I am saying that product A has the highest sales because of this, but look at it from this dimension. I got this data from so and so place, and I don't have access to the people that put up the data to find out the entire value chain of this data. So sometimes you need to put up all those things so that you don't give an insight or a recommendation that at the end of the day people look at it and it is totally nonsense, or they look at it and then it does not make sense at all. Okay. Now, like I said, that the act of creating narrative, we should use relatable examples and use cases. We should be able to simplify our concepts, avoid jargon, because most times they are not talking to technical people, you are talking to non-technical people. You should be able to relate data insights to real world scenario and all that. Now let me just look at let's look at Nigeria for an instance. By the way, why is there a case in court? So there is a case in court, a tribunal electoral case, because of data. Yes, because there is, not there was, because it's still on, there is a data breach. And that is to show you how important it is to tell good narrative with your data. As it is now, the whole world is waiting for Nigeria or judiciary, sorry to bring this in, but it's important to make these things relatable, or to make these things come home. The whole world is looking at what narrative will Nigerians tell from this data, because some set of people are saying a particular person won 12 states, some other person are saying he won 16 states, some other persons are saying 25%, some other person are saying 10%. You get that is because there is data, and that is to tell us how important data is, and why, if we are going to be data analysts or data scientists or machine learning engineers or whosoever that deals with data, you should try every means possible to avoid data bias, because that is why the country is where we are now, because a set of people breached the data source. The source from data to get to the right place is supposed to get to, and that's where we are. That's to show you how important data is. So one number, two numbers, three numbers can cause a great damage to an industry, to a country, to a state, to a people. Imagine now that you want to work with, that's why I also talk about domain knowledge. Now let's say you want to work on you want to talk on health. For me, I'm not a health person, so I kind of try to avoid analysis on health care. But if I'm going to do any analysis on health care, I will go and study. You know why? Because if I come and see maybe an information on sugar level, no, let me use something I'm more conversant with. Let's say I want to work on geographical data, and I am not all this architecture and all that longitude. I may know that it's longitude, latitude rather, but I may see zero degree, minus something degree, maybe temperature. If that geography is not my domain, you keep learning, and it is to be thrown away, or it is a loss, just as we have in sales. When you get anything minus, it looks like it is negative, it not make sales. So I should be able to know that even that 0 degree that is there, it does not that it is main knowledge of that. I may just go and row or the entire information that has all those zero, and at the end of the day, those things are even the main thing that should be able to guide me in my analysis. And I just come out presenting egusi soup that if someone should put hand into the soup, the oil will just be.
Okay, I think we lost our guest. I hope she'll be right back. Ifeanyi, are you still alive?
I think we lost her. Hopefully she'll be back soon. Hopefully she'll be
Yeah,
back soon.
so let's try to um, round this up so that we call in the next speaker and get questions as well. Samarachi back?
No,
I'm back.
she's
I'm
not.
back. I'm
Okay,
back.
okay, she is. She
Sorry,
is.
Your village people came.
I'm back. I don't know what not. Sorry, sorry, very sorry. I don't know. I was just knocked out. Is where it can be. It can be funny. Okay, so I was talking about cooking a good meal that someone will eat, and the person will answer that I really ate food today. So now you may be wondering, okay, how are these things done? I'm going to walk us through. Please, you help me with there are links on my slide towards the second to last slide. When I get there, just help me go through them. But let me talk about examples of companies that have used data and turned it into gold, and at the end of the day they have given good narratives. We have Amazon. They use data for inventory management, supply chain, and all that. Even Netflix, they use I think recommendation model and all that. Google search engine, you may be searching for something on Google. In fact, it can be on Facebook, and maybe you mistakenly clicked on Jumia once, so it can just even be once, so and maybe you just checked shoes and went your way. The next 2 days, maybe you went back to Facebook. Before you know, Jumia will now start showing you more shoes. Before you know, Jumia will even show you bag. Jumia will be showing you this. So what is Jumia doing? They've been able to understand your preference because you use Facebook, and they've been seeing what you've been doing. They've been able to understand your preference, they even know your location and some other information about you. They know the previous search that you've done. So that's why they keep recommending all those things for you or to you. So that's the same thing that Netflix does. If you've watched the movie, they'll bring similar movies to you, recommend them to you so that you watch. Tesla, what Tesla did, Tesla is a car. When the drivers, they're able to see the driver's behavior, the sensors in the car, and all that. So they use that to like let's say monitor or predict the way cars move and others, their automated car. So because they've been able to do good data cleaning, they've been able to understand their audience to their products, and then they've been able to push it out. And as they push out, people use it, they still analyze the people using it, their preferences, their choice, their location, and virtually everything about them. They're able to now predict and let me not use the word manipulate, but let me say they're able to predict what people would want. Zillow is I think real estate. They've been able to also use data to know that, okay, if there is a house in Los Angeles that is maybe a 4-bedroom, I don't know how it's called there, and because it's closer to a beach or this or that, the price of the house there should be let's say 25. What is 25? Okay, it should be $2,200 US. So because they've been able to get the cost of houses in a particular location depending on the size of the house, the amenities in the house, the facilities in the house. They can have a house pricing. So if anyone at any point in time tells you that, okay, I'm looking for a house in so and so place, they don't need to go and start calling people around. I beg, no verse, this house here, how much is this, how much is this? From their model, what they've used data to do, they are able to predict the price there. And by the way, if you are in the data field, data analysis is more like the starting point, or you can even say data engineering is more like a starting point, because you need people to build the pipeline for this data to come in. So data analysis is more of the starting point where you can tell them what is happening in the data. At some point, you move forward to the data scientist part, where you're able to now predict and now build models from that existing data you've done. So as a data analyst, your job is very critical. If you don't, at the end of the day, have a clean data for people to see what you to have, if you don't have a clean data, rather, to enable machine learning engineers to work on them, it will become very, very, very difficult. Now, please help me with the last slide so that we can go to some of the works I've done. If you are telling story for someone that is still building, there are places we tell our story. You want people to see what you've done, just as Miracle talked about branding. For the data people, will have like GitHub, we have like Medium, we even have LinkedIn. Sometimes you need to tell people what you've done or show them what you've done. You should be able to tell a beautiful story around it so that everybody understands. And at the end of the day, they see you as you know what you are doing. Now, let me make two presentations. Make a presentation on inventory, and you just came up, you finished analyzing it. Your managers, everybody, they're sitting down, they're waiting for you. Maybe it's an on-site presentation, even if it's a virtual presentation, and you just come up there and you say, today we are going to talk about supply chain. And when you look at this chart in the company, you see that we have shoes selling more. We have this one selling more. We have this. Fine, you've made the presentation. They're seeing the chart. They're seeing your graph. It is fine. But compare that scenario. Then compare this other scenario where someone comes up and the person just begins to say, yesterday I went to the showroom and I saw 20 loaves of bread. And I'm wondering why we have 20 loaves of bread in the warehouse when people need Fanta. So by the time you say that kind of thing, you have brought let's say a conflict, 20 loaves of bread and Fanta. How do they relate? Once you say that kind of, let's say, conflicting or that kind of, let's call it hook, people's attention is you've triggered their attention. They want to know, okay, what is bread doing with Fanta? So you can now begin to now tell them, okay, I want to talk about inventory analysis. I use the instance of bread and Fanta because people will not be wanting Fanta and then you have bread in your warehouse. You should have in your warehouse what people want to buy. You should stock your warehouse with what people want to buy. Imagine your customer came to buy Fanta and has been asking for Fanta and Fanta and Fanta, and what you have is bread and bread and bread. How do you want to make sales? How do you want to grow your business? That is why you need to have an analysis of your inventory. So by the time you come up with this kind of statement or that kind of presentation, people begin to listen and say, oh, so really that is why we have a need for inventory analysis. Okay, so what is inventory analysis? Okay, you now need to know, okay, what are people buying? What do we have in the store? What do we have in the warehouse? How is the order? Do they order for bread daily or do they order weekly? What is the quantity of the order? So by the time you begin to think in that direction, you will now know that you have succeeded in gaining the attention of people. So please, if I help me with my slide, you can go to the very first one. It's on GitHub. You can just go to it. It's an inventory management analysis. Wow, maybe that's what I'm talking about, inventory management. The last slide. Yeah, just click the first one. Let's see what we have there.
This slide?
Yes, that link. There's a link there. It's clickable, the GitHub.
Oh, okay.
Yes, just click the first link. And let me just show only one. Any of the link for want of time.
So if I
It should
just
take you to a
go to the
website.
first link,
I don't
go
know.
to the first link and right click.
Go to the first link. Go to the first link and right click.
Right click and then share. Open it.
Right click and then share.
Yes, it's opening.
Please.
Yes, it's opening.
Okay. You may need to just share that slide, that screen. After you share it, I'll be done. So I don't. It doesn't freeze again. So sorry.
Can you see the screen? Can you see my screen?
Can you see the screen? Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Mhm.
Okay, I guess I'm going to open it from my end. Okay.
Okay, I guess I'm going to open it from my end. Okay.
Can you see it now?
Try to disconnect from
Can you see
your
it now?
second device.
It's coming up.
From your second device.
Is it?
It's coming up.
Is it?
All right.
Alright.
The last speaker, so sorry for taking your time. I'm almost done.
Can you see it now?
Annie, sorry.
Can you see it now?
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
I think it's loading. If it's loading.
I can see it from my end though.
I can see it from my end though.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, it's up now. I can see it. Okay, so this is one of the places I used to store my some of my works. So if you go, if anybody can just look at it and read it and understand it. What have I done? From beginning, I tell you what the analysis is all about. It's an inventory management analysis. And then I tell you about the problem, what I'm trying to solve, the goal of it, the problem statement. So some people need to see why you carrying out this analysis. And then I begin to tell you, okay, the skills and the concepts that I demonstrated. Then you can just scroll down so that they can be seeing it. Then I tell you the data source, where I got the data from. Then all the transformation processes I did, I'm able to tell you, not just writing them, but I'm able to show you the screenshot of all the things that I did. Yeah, that I did. When looking at it, even if someone is a newbie, the person can really go through it. And then I go on to tell you how I modeled data. I go on to now tell you, okay, the analysis I did and the visualizations and all that. At the end of the day, I don't leave you like that. I still give you insights and recommendation. Very important. In fact, on my slide, I always have, not on my slide, rather, on my report, on my dashboard, even if it's Power BI I'm using, even if it's Excel I'm using, even if it's Tableau, I create a space where I write my insights and my recommendation. If you go down this link, you see that I have a slide that talks about not a slide, rather a page that talks about my insights. And then I tell you my analysis, I tell you my limitation. So with this, I am able to walk you through just like what is in my mind. You get to see what is in my mind. You get to hear my thought process. You get to understand my thought process. And anybody can look at this thing and say, wow, it is beautiful. It is this, it is that. That is because I'm able to craft and tell a wonderful narrative. Now, here is a challenge before us. Before I leave, we have a challenge before us. Our country, we talk about insecurity. And sometimes kidnappers, they will send, what is this thing they send? They'll send videos of people they kidnapped, I'm in so and so forest, people send so and so money, and that video they spread it. You see the video on maybe Facebook or on the they send it to the parents through WhatsApp and all that. With technology, brothers and sisters, we should be able to track where that video came from. We should be able to track with it. Has every video, every this thing has a metadata. We should be able to trace it, and then that will give us leadings to know where those kidnappers are. But this is only possible when we begin to have people that are interested in technology, when we have people that are interested in solving problems with data. There are lots and lots of things we can solve with data, including this insecurity problem. So at the end of this conference, I would want you to sit back and look at yourself. All of us, we are data analysts. Yes, you analyze. In fact, some people analyze their food because they want to watch their weight. So they will say, oh, yesterday I took 2 slices of bread. It's getting too much. Let me take 1 slice of bread today. Or I've been eating beans. Let me eat this. You're analyzing your food intake. You're analyzing even your sleep. Some people say, I slept for 4 hours yesterday. That's why I woke up with headache. So today, let me sleep with 8 hours so that maybe my body will balance. So in fact, voluntarily, is that the word to use? You are already an analyst. You're already analyzing anything about you. You're analyzing your height, your virtually everything. That is how humans are. So this is a kind of skill that you can use for anything you are doing as a person, even if you don't want to pursue it as a career in the longest time. Thank you for listening to me. Let me see if you have any questions. Please drop your questions, and I will attend to them. Do you have questions?
Okay, let me check the group.
Okay, I'm also watching the comment section.
Okay, let me check the group.
I don't think there is any question for now. I couldn't find
I
any.
don't think there is any question for now. I couldn't find any.
All right. Thank you very much, and have a beautiful evening.
Okay, sorry. Someone just sent in a
Okay, I'm
question
saying,
now.
okay. Right now.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Someone
Which
just sent in
tech
a question
skill
now.
should I learn now
It's the same
that
question
makes
that
money?
Mercy,
Which tech
Miracle.
skill should I learn now
The same
that
question.
makes
I think
money?
this question has been asked before.
It's the same question that someone asked
Same
Miracle.
question. I think this question has been asked before.
Yes, someone asked Miracle that question. Everything you need to work, no matter what you are learning now. Don't have it at the back of your mind that you want to make money. No. This is not Yahoo. You need to put in the time to learn and compete globally, even if it's compete in Nigeria. You need to put in the work and learn. This is not hit and run something. And we don't recommend skills because it has to do with your ability, your passion, your time, your dedication. A lot is involved in skilling up. So probably you should see maybe a counselor to guide you.
Okay. Thank you
Malik
so
Leo,
much.
I think
Okay. Thank
I've
you
done
so
justice to the
much.
question.
Yes. Thank you so much. We will have to take a short break.
Yes,
Very
sir.
short
Thank you
break.
so much.
And then after that,
we will have to
we
take a
introduce
short
the very
very short
last
break.
speaker for
And then
tonight.
after that, we introduce the very last speaker tonight.